Just like that. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Kai and Itchy's MMA Hour, where two goofball fans word spar on the fastest growing sport in the world. I, of course, am one of said goofballs, Kai Schwartz, and I am joined here by my good friend, Mendy Ichi Ikalovich. What's going on, my dude?
What's going on, guys?
So,
How's everybody doing? We're back.
yeah, back from Jacksonville. Before we get into that, just want to give a shout out to our producer Drew, who is out sick this week. Um,
hmm
who is out sick this week with some respiratory infection, the thing that I'm still fighting off that I was sick with last week. Uh, and there's this shit going on. It's not COVID, it's something else, it's something crazy. But so for this week, I'm the one manning all the production stuff. So if there's anything wrong going on, message me. I probably won't be able to fix it while I'm talking, but I'll see your message. Send us a super chat if you want your thoughts read out on air. So I think
Yes.
so.
Help us out.
Yeah, so let's get into it. I mean, this past weekend was UFC 273 in Jacksonville, something that the two of us got to go to. It was an incredible experience. I mean, you want to talk about an event?
hmm Yeah, sure. It was absolutely amazing. It was it was definitely everything that I thought it was going to be. But I did think that it was a little small. It was a smaller arena than what they're used to. you know. That's just my opinion. I mean, it was filled. I mean, it was full capacity, but it only felt like 14,600, 14,700, maybe 15,000 with people sitting on the floor. But um, wasn't that big, honestly, but it was amazing. So it felt a lot more um, like more of a personal type of thing. It didn't seem like there were that many people. The place isn't that big. I felt we were in section 100 and we felt like we were pretty much on the floor, like it was very close to it.
Yeah,
So in one sense, it's good. In one sense, it's like I kind of liked it, honestly. I'd rather it be that way than be in like a 50,000 seat arena. Like where like you're super far away if you're sitting on section 100. But I loved it. I mean, you could feel the fucking energy in the place. You can feel, everyone. You can like hear him like when they jump on the canvas, you fucking hear it. Like it's really next level shit. And I think it was the best sporting event I've ever been to. I've been to many sporting events, and that's definitely the best one. I mean, to be honest, the energy was electric. It was fucking electric.
yeah. I mean, it was incredible in terms of the fights and the energy. Although I gotta say, in terms of crowds, it it may have been like the biggest experience of filthy casuals I have ever gone through. Like these people were booing
Mm,
at basically everything, and it's like anytime fighters were going to the ground, they were booing. They were cheering for a fighter, and then they would boo him a second, same fighter a second later. Like during the fight of Piotr Jan and Aljamain Sterling, first they were like "fuck you, Aljo," and then they were going "let's go Sterling" like 30 seconds later, and they cheered
yeah, they
on.
would
They
switch
they
over.
cheered on Jan, but then were screaming USA, USA, and they were booing anytime there was anything on the ground. These people were fucking bananas. Like everyone there was like this near violent, filthy casual, except for like the two of us.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, there were some people that I think the quieter people were the people that understood MMA a little bit more because they didn't feel the need to scream out every 10 seconds. They understood how fights usually go. So I think all the people that were talking, just like in the real world, don't actually do shit and they don't actually know anything. They're just there for the fun. And then the people that were quiet were silent killers in a sense, or where they knew what the hell was going on. I think that was what really happened there.
Yeah, and then the loud people included the people behind us. I swear, we almost got into a fucking
Yeah.
fight there in the arena. It was, it,
I mean, I swear, old men these days have egos that are way bigger than our egos. I will say that.
Yeah, there was this group of crazy people, including like this old man, like white trash beer drinking Santa Claus, like basically like yelling at us every time we would stand up because like everyone would stand up the big moments, which you do at a sporting event when crazy shit's going on. You stand
Yeah,
up
it's
and
a
you're
sporting event.
like super into it. And this dude was like yelling at us because like I think it was like his daughter or whatever couldn't see. And like I turned around, I'm like, why doesn't she just stand up? And like this pube head motherfucker next to her was like, oh, she just had a baby, and I'm like, okay,
That's
well,
not my
that's not my
problem.
problem. I paid a lot
Don't
of
go to
money
a sporting
I paid a
event.
lot of money to sit and stand in these seats. Like, go fuck yourself. And then at one
Yeah.
point, this dude, like when Itchy was standing up, uh, watching the fight, I was sitting. He like yanks Itchy back down to the ground, and I turn up, and of course, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" And so I look over at him, and I'm like, "Yo, you don't touch my friend. Like, what are you doing?" He's like, I'll fucking send you across the canvas. We'll what's going on there will be nothing compared to what I'll do to you. And I'm just like, I'm like, okay, all right, sure, all right, you're gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
All right,
all
bro.
right,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
all right, Gramps.
People, and then the guy next to me was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, bro, I'm fine." I'm like, then I told him, I said, "Bro, the people who talk the most do the least." So as you see here, I'm very quiet.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
this is not
at least though, at the towards the end, he did like apologize to us and like,
He did apologize. I will give him that. It was very in the moment. He was very pissed. He got to him. I always give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that's a flaw of mine, but I give people the benefit of the doubt too. Where he was pissed. It was his fucking son or daughter or whatever the fuck was going on over there. But at the end of the day, he did apologize. He understood that he fucked up the vibe a little bit. So, and I wasn't going to get in a fight with anyone just because I didn't want to lose my
yeah,
seat
exactly,
and I didn't want to get kicked out of the arena.
exactly.
And I paid way too much money, and I drove all the way over there because my flight got canceled. I forgot to tell you guys about that part. And yeah, so it was a lot of work for me to get there, and I wasn't gonna fuck it up for some old dude. And I what? I knocked the dude out. Then what?
Yeah.
Then what? Nothing. Nothing's gonna come out of it. Nothing. I go to jail. He goes to jail, and we all get sent out of the arena. No one gets to watch the fights. So I take the high road there, as they say. But I mean, if he wants to spar, anytime, buddy, anytime. Walk into the gym, we got you, buddy. I mean, you're gonna get your head kicked off because I guarantee you don't train as hard as we do. So, ATT, NMB, they're every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Show up. I mean, I guarantee you, you will not come out a happy man.
I mean,
I'll
I mean,
make sure of
I
that.
mean, you might want to send that out to the old man, but to like old like Pubehead next to him because he somehow in the FBI spook found our Instagram account. I have no idea how this happened.
Yeah.
No idea how he could
So
possibly
I have a theory. I have a theory that he was looking at our phones as we were, of course, posting
creepy as shit.
in the moment and all that shit. So it was a dark arena, so I could see how my brightness was very bright, and he was able to just look down and see the name.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and he
I
started.
don't know. I'll give them.
Yeah, and he started
I'll give them
spam
the three. I'll
commenting on our posts, and I was like, "What the fuck? How is this even so?"
Yeah.
And of
Okay.
course, I
Yeah.
basically sent him a long message savaging his very existence, and then blocked him from being able to see our page. So everything is back to normal.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give him the 3-piece and the soda any day. So just show up, man. Just show up.
Yeah.
That's all I say. Just show up.
But
I'll be there.
let's talk about the fights themselves because they were incredible, guys. If you missed this card, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what you did Saturday, but like you fucked up. You fucked up. Like this card was
Mhm.
absolutely
Sadly.
incredible. I mean, I guess we'll start with the main event: Alexander Volkanovski versus the Korean Zombie. I mean, Volk Volk is just like so dominant. I mean, it's crazy.
Mhm. Oh, Volk is the goat. Honestly, he deserves to be in the pound for pound rankings where he is now, and he's definitely the best at 145. I don't think there's anyone. The only person that comes close is Max Holloway, and we all know he's the uncrowned king, so we got to give him that. Some people think he lost the second fight, but yeah, man, I don't see anyone giving Volk trouble at all. I mean, he even spoke about it in the after press the press conference after the fight. He goes, I might have to move up to 155. I mean, not really much I pretty much rolled through everybody. I mean, he might have to go up to 155. Who knows?
I mean, that
Who
division
knows?
is full of killers. Like, in well, both divisions, but 145 is still full of killers. Like, Volk can stay there. There are fights lined up for him. I mean, he has to do the third. I would obviously do the third fight with Max before making any big decisions like that because, I personally think Max won the second fight, and Max has leveled up since then. I know Volk also leveled up since then. I could watch the fight a million times. And then, of course, you have
Mhm.
Arnold Allen and Bryce Mitchell working their ways up through the ranks. I mean, those would be crazy fights as well.
100%. I just don't think they stand a chance. I just don't think they stand a chance.
Even
Too
when
powerful. He's too. timing.
Even with the
I
way
really
you
don't see
saw
it. I don't.
Arnold Allen perform against Dan Hooker, you still think he doesn't have a chance against Volk?
Arnold Allen hasn't been through wars like Volk has. We never seen him through something like that. So, to be honest, no, I don't think so. We haven't seen Arnold Allen tested to the point where Volk has. Not even close. Not even close. Come on, can't give him that. He doesn't have that yet. I mean, he might have it in him, but we haven't seen it. So I can't say that he's going to beat him when he hasn't even been through anything close to something that's Volk been through. That's my
But
opinion. I don't know.
we'll see how that goes. Volk can do whatever he wants,
Yeah.
but I mean, right now, he's one of the greatest fighters on planet Earth, and he's just killing it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, to do he just I mean I knew that he was going to win pretty much from the get go, like, and that's why he was a minus 700 favorite, But at the same time, just the fact that there was not any point in the fight where I was like, oh, something could happen. And I was like, yeah, Volk got this in the bag, and to the point where I mean, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
total
the energy in there was so
total
low
domination.
because I mean, probably because everyone after Gilbert Burns versus Khamzat Chimaev, everyone was just like that was topped out. Like it was hard to pass that. But also, just by the time
Oh
that
my
fight
god.
happened, like it was pretty chill in there because everyone was like, yeah, we know Volk is gonna come in here and dominate. This fight was only made because Volk signed on. He was supposed to fight Max Holloway. Max Holloway had to pull out because of injury, and Korean Zombie was the first person to step up and be like, yo, let me in, and folks said okay, and it was just based on that,
100%.
but that was never really a fight that people were like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I need to see this. This is gonna be so competitive. Like I kind of
Yeah.
knew what was gonna
Yeah, no,
happen.
definitely not. Yeah, and I also want to give props to Herb Dean. I think he stopped it perfectly. He could have made it, maybe not let him go to the fourth round, but just to make it decisive, it's a title fight, make a decisive win for the guys. So I think I want to say, Herb Dean did a good job. He stopped it at the right moment. Shouldn't have gone any longer. The complete domination. He didn't have a chance at that point. And finally, Herb Dean did something good, as they
Yeah, I
say.
mean,
Finally.
I'm so petty. Every time they announced like, and your referee Herb Dean, I'd be like, boo, Herb Dean fault. You know,
A lot of people were the same as you, so I'm not
but
surprised
no,
there. A
he
lot
did
of
a
people
good
were
job
saying the same
Saturday
too.
night. But I mean, a fight that I didn't
Yeah.
see coming, the outcome was fucking the co-main event, Aljamain Sterling versus Piotr Jan. I mean, Aljo walked away with that belt in a very controversial split decision. I mean, but that fight
Oh,
was extremely
100%.
close, extremely competitive, uh, and it blew me away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, amazing, amazing, absolutely amazing fight. Honestly, what do you think
I
about it?
mean,
I want to hear your thoughts
It
first.
was kind of what we thought it would be, but it was way more competitive. Like I figured, like Aljo would be going for a submission in the first few rounds, and he did. He got Jan to the ground again and again and again. He got him in a body
Good.
lock.
Yeah,
He
you
was
did.
going for that rear
Yeah.
naked choke time, and he's getting close. But Jan never really looked like he was in any danger. He was kind of like, all right, this is annoying. I just gotta wait it out. And then of course, in the later rounds, Piotr Jan did what Piotr Jan does, and he sort
Yeah.
of turned it around and he got on in like the fourth and fifth round and he dominated through that, but he wasn't able to get a finish, and it went to the judges and they gave it to split decision, Aljo 48-47, which I disagree with. I think that Jan won the first, fourth, and fifth rounds and Aljo won the second and third rounds. But it was a very, I'm not going to call it a robbery like a lot of Twitter is doing. Like it was a very close fight.
No, it definitely wasn't a robbery. It was a very close
it was a
fight.
fucking coin flip, really.
100%. I am looking at the stats though, so I want to put that in perspective. Now, Peter Yan had a total of 139 strikes on Aljamain. Now, Aljamain had 91. That's the numbers. That's what I'm looking at here. Now, Aljamain Sterling had 2 takedowns and had 8 minutes and 31 seconds of control time throughout the entire fight. Out of 25 minutes,
Those were in the
8
second and
minutes
third
and
rounds.
31 seconds was him controlling. Exactly. But I'm just looking at numbers overall. Now, Peter Yan had 5 minutes and 52 seconds of control time. That's what it says here. With 0 takedowns. So I think the control was on the feet. Could that be possible? I don't know what the control time is if he had 0 takedowns. Did he reverse
Well, yeah,
Aljamain
he
and stay on
reversed.
top for 5 minutes?
Yeah, no, he reversed it.
Yeah.
In I think it was the third round. That's when he started. It started to flip, and you know what's
Mhm.
crazy? There were a few moments I noticed this. I don't know if you noticed this, where Aljo kind of like hit, like he moved towards the ground, like he had his head sort of like on the ground, like almost like he wanted Jan to knee him. Like he was sort of like in a very weird position that didn't really
Oh,
make
like
sense for
baiting
him.
him again,
Yeah,
baiting
it
him
almost
again,
there. I saw like two
baiting
or
him
three
again.
moments where it almost seemed like he was baiting Jan to do that again because that he was in positions that didn't make sense for him at the moment. Like Jan would be coming towards him and Aljamain would be on the ground, but instead of getting up, he would sort of like get closer towards the ground, like putting his head towards the ground. Um,
Yeah.
it almost seems like bait. It was very weird.
He could have been fucking with his head.
Yeah,
Honestly, that's what I think it was. I mean, you know,
but I mean that.
that could have been that. Could have been a lot of things, honestly. I don't know. But it could have been also just his wrestling background. So he's used to getting on his knees and then standing up. You know what I mean? It's a wrestler thing that they do. They give up their back. They go on their knees first when they get up. So that's possibly what was happening. He was trying to get up on his knees, and then Jan is there, as he's getting up. So I don't know. It could be something like that. That's the only thing I could really think of. Otherwise, yeah, he's probably just baiting him if it's not that.
Yeah, but I mean, but it was. I mean, it was a really close fight. It was like anyone like I'm
Amazing.
seeing half of Twitter being like, "Oh, you now have to give Aljamain all this respect and where's you send him an apology form and the other half is being like, this was a robbery. This was the worst decision I've ever seen. It's like, guys, this was a coin flip. Like Aljo, like
Yeah.
obviously he gets to brag because
He had
he gets to
more. He
keep
had more
he gets to
control.
keep the belt. He gets to brag a bit, but I wouldn't go too overboard, buddy. Like half of the MMA world, or even more probably, thinks that you lost. Because it was very, very
Well,
close.
yes. If you look at the numbers, he had a lot more control time. He had 2 takedowns. Peter Yan had
But
0.
that means less than significant strikes.
Okay, that's the only thing he beat him in. But when you have someone on the ground for that long, for almost 2 full rounds, it's a lot better than a couple significant strikes. He outstruck him by 50, and he had him on the ground for 8 minutes. You know what I mean? Like it's very significant. And Peter Yan never took Aljamain Sterling down, not once. So think about it like that.
But he
He
reversed it.
never took him down once.
But he was able to reverse
Very
it.
different. Very different. Very different. I think a takedown is worth a lot more than a reversal, in my opinion. It's a lot harder to take someone down and reverse them.
I mean,
A
it was
lot
still a
harder.
very good fight, and of course we saw
Oh, amazing.
TJ Dillashaw in the audience. Aljamain call him out. That seems to be the thing that's happening next, and I'm very excited to see that. That'd be a
Mm.
great fight.
Oh, yeah. And I honestly, if you want my honest opinion for that one, TJ Dillashaw eats him alive any day. Any day. That's a horrible matchup for Aljamain Sterling. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. But I think we see TJ Dillashaw as the next champion
Yeah,
for
I mean,
sure. Back again.
whatever gets us to finally seeing TJ Dillashaw versus Piotr Jan, because that's the fight in bantamweight I really want to see.
Oh yeah,
Whatever
that would be
gets
the
us to
next
that,
one because Peter's got the chance. Yeah,
whatever gets us to
Peter's
that.
gonna get the next chance unless they do an immediate rematch for the third match because it was so close.
I don't know.
That's very
So
possible
many
too.
options.
Jan wants a rematch. Jan wants a rematch right after. He was like, "I want a rematch." That was bullshit. Like I should have won that.
Yeah, that would be even
So
crazier if the UFC was just like, yeah, three, let's go. Make
yeah,
TJ
they might as
make
well. Why not milk it as it comes? Why not milk it as it comes? That's what I say. You have it right now. It's hot. It's ready. It's on the plate. Take it, bro. Eat it up.
whichever. I'm
Why
good with
not?
both options. I'm okay to see both.
Yeah, they're both amazing
Yeah.
fights. They're both amazing fights.
Speaking of amazing fights, the fucking fight of the night, one of the craziest things I've ever seen. All right, Khamzat
Oh
Chimaev
my
versus Gilbert
god.
Burns. I could spend hours just talking about this because it was just wall to wall action.
Fight it. Fight of the year contender. Fight of the year contender in my
100%.
head. Fight of the year
And
contender.
like I said, even though Kamzat ended up with the decision win, that I was right in a sense. Don't underestimate Gilbert Burns. He came, he really did prove. I know it's the most cliche statement, but he did prove that there are levels to this game, and Kamzat and Gilbert are about the same level. because Gilbert, he rocked him a handful of times. He was able to handle him on the ground to an extent. It was
Yeah,
it was a pretty close fight,
amazing. It's the closest fight. I think it was even closer than Peter Yan Aljamain in my mind. I really think it was. I just watched it again today, of course, to do a review, and in my mind, now that I watched it back, I think Gilbert won the fight.
Yeah, I mean,
which is crazy, but I think Gilbert won the fight.
yeah, I mean,
The only thing that Hamzat had on him was the control time. Everything else was even
yeah,
in my mind.
so
So
crazy.
he won by a little bit, but I could even see in some cases where Gilbert wins that fight.
Yeah.
Some judges might even give it to Gilbert.
But I mean, guys, if you didn't watch, I mean, even if you don't want to watch the whole card, go and watch that fight. Like that will be considered one
At
of the
least
fights
that
of the
fight,
year. Like it was
for sure. At least.
the moment. I mean, I'm thinking about all the crazy moments, like when Gilbert first rocked him, and everyone was like, "What? Whoa!" And I'm just sitting there with a smile, like ear to ear, because everyone was like, "Oh,
I told you.
Gilbert Burns is gonna get ragdolled. He's gonna, first round knockout comes out. Everyone is on this hype train like crazy. And don't get me wrong, the hype train is not unfounded, and he clearly,
Fucking
and it's
real.
still going because he
Hype
did
train's
win.
real.
But Gilbert Burns was way more the challenge than most people were willing to give him credit for. And I was just smiling ear to ear because I knew it, because Gilbert
100%.
Burns is one of the greatest. I think that Gilbert Burns is a better fighter than Colby Covington. I do. I think that because of Gilbert.
If they fought, I think Gilbert knocks him
Yeah,
out.
exactly. That's my point. Because Gilbert has so much power. He probably has the hardest strike in the division, if not Kamzat. It's
He's a
one of those
fucking
two. And
he's a fucking tank, man. He's
he's
a
a black
tank.
belt in
He's a
Brazilian
walking
Jiu-Jitsu. Like he's a monster also, which is why
monster.
when people were like, "Oh, Hamzat is the big bad boogeyman," I'm like, I see what you're saying, but I think Gilbert Burns is going to do pretty well.
And he did. I even think he won the fight. Honestly, now I watched it, he might have even won the fight. I think they just had to give it to Hamzat just to keep the hype going.
Well, you could make a case.
At this point,
I didn't get a chance to rewatch it, but I definitely need to and sit down and analyze it a little bit better.
yeah.
But
I mean, I am looking here at the numbers, and Hamzat did have 2 minutes and 23 seconds of control time, where Gilbert had 6 seconds. So if you want to go off of at least that, yes, you give Hamzat the win. But I don't know if you saw this, but in the second round, when he was getting beat by Gilbert, I think Gilbert won the second round. When you see what his coach is saying to Hamzat in between rounds, I didn't see this because I was just so hype on the fight that I wasn't looking at the coaches when they were talking, but I saw a clip of it when I watched the replay. And he was so pissed at Hamzat. He was screaming at him on the top of his lungs. What are you doing? This is not what we wanted. This is not how you should be fighting. He was saying it in like Swedish or whatever the fuck. And he was like, this is not what you should be doing. This is not what you should be doing. He's like screaming. He's like, go back to the basics. Right, left. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's all I want to see from you. And he was like, Hamzat was getting hit too much. We needed him to calm the fuck down. He's like, I don't care about entertainment. He's like, I know Hamzat wants to entertain the fans. That's not what I'm here for. As a coach, I need to have him take as least damage as possible and get the knockout and win the fight. That's what I want him to do. So if he's trying to be flashy and shit, my job is to tell him to calm the fuck down. Fuck the fans. It's not about the fans. It's about you getting the win and taking the least damage as possible. And he's right. As the coach, I agree with him 100%. That is the point of the coach being there, to tell him to stop being stupid, stop going with the crowd. You know, he got hyped, as you can tell. He was in the fucking fight. So it's crazy how his coach was screaming at him off the top of his lungs. You have to see that clip. Like, it's crazy. I've never seen a coach that pissed before at a fighter, like so pissed. Like, he did lose the round,
yeah.
so
Well, yeah,
that's why.
if you look at it, the first round, I definitely go to Kamzat because he, had that. That's when he had the ground control time, and that's when it was a bit of a struggle for Gilbert to make it through the round. And the second round was when Gilbert just, took control and started hammering him
Turn it
on him.
on.
He rocked him a couple times. And then the third round is really what's up for debate, is like, who won that fight. It was such a banger. It was like it's one of those things. It's like I was directly watching it, but at the same time, there was so much going on that my brain could not process what I was seeing, because it was
Yeah,
It was
I
so
was.
intense. Like, how would you? I'm gonna give you three fights. Tell me how you rank them. Okay, Gaethje versus Chandler, Volkanovski versus Ortega, Hamzat versus Gilbert. How do you rank them?
Which one? Which one I think is the 1, 2, and
Yeah,
3
yeah.
best fights? Well, I'm gonna have to go Hamza first because we've never seen anything like this from him, right? This is the first time he's been in a war, so I think it's more exciting. So I'm gonna put that as first. Second, I'm gonna go with Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje because we were all expecting it, and it was what we expected, if not more. So I'm going to put that as number 2, and then Volk Bryan was number 3. I think it was just such a dominant win by Volk that that was what the impressive part was. But if you're asking me as a fight, I think I'd put him as the third fight, and only because Ortega's a great striker and all, but it was just not enough for Volk. The only thing he had was really submissions on him, which Volk is not a master at submissions. So you know what I mean? Like you understood that was going to happen. It was self-explanatory in the sense that Ortega is going to go for something. With these other fights, you kind of knew what you were expecting, and you got what you expected. You know. So I don't know. I'm going to rate 1, 2, 3 in that. I mean, what about you?
I mean, I asked you because I was like thinking about it, and it's kind of hard for me to rank them just because, obviously to me, I always think about that third round with Ortega and Volk, and just the fact that he got him in that guillotine and he almost submitted it. It's just thought that whole round is just crazy from bell to bell, and
Oh,
and so I
100%,
I always think
100%.
about that fight, and it's become one of my favorites. And I know I'm definitely putting Gagey and Chandler at the bottom because while that fight was exciting and crazy, Michael Chandler was
What?
basically getting the shit kicked out of him for 3 rounds. Like, it wasn't competitive. It wasn't it was it
I
wasn't a very it was
disagree. I
it wasn't a very
disagree.
competitive, like, there wasn't really a
Oh,
point. Every time Chandler tried to have something for Gagey countered him. And if you look at the end of that fight, Chandler looks like he's about to die, whereas Gagey's like, yeah, I could go for like a burger right now or something, just chilling.
but that's always gaugy. That's literally always gaugy. You can't gauge it off of that. You got
Yeah,
so what I
but
did there. You can't gauge it
yeah,
off of
no,
that. You know what I mean? Like he's always looking. He's like he's fine. He's a cardio machine.
but
This guy
that's it.
doesn't
But
get
that's my
tired.
point.
Like
I mean,
it's different.
that's my point to an extent. I mean, a competitive fight is really how close are you to being finished before the bell ring.
Well, I think you're forgetting. I think you're forgetting that Gagey did get rocked a
Yeah, I'm not
couple
saying
of
the fight wasn't
times,
competitive at
not just
all.
once.
I'm just saying compared to the other two, it was not as competitive, I don't think. I mean, up until the fourth round, I think that Volk and Ortega was extremely competitive. And then after Brian did those two submission attempts, he was exhausted, and then he was just basically, just surviving for 2 rounds. But those first 3 rounds are some of the most competitive MMA I've ever seen in my life. And so, honestly, I think I'm gonna
I
put
get it.
Hamzat and Gilbert at the top just because of how competitive it was, how crazy it was, how competitive it was, the story behind it, the fact that, the personal satisfaction for me being vindicated about how good Gilbert Burns is. So I'll put that at the top. I'll put
Mhm.
Volk and Ortega in the middle, and I'll put Gage and Chandler at the bottom. But they're all incredible
Sure,
fights. I asked you just
I get
because
it.
those are like the three fights in my recent memory that were just bananas, like fight of the year kind of contender fights. I think Volk and Ortega won fight
Mm.
of the year 2021 in the UFC's like awards or whatever. But
Oh yeah, I think
yeah,
they did. Yeah.
this, I mean, the whole card for Saturday night was fucking amazing. There were so many good fights. Although there was a lot of them went to decision, because, and like you said, it wasn't because they were boring. It was because the fighters were very evenly matched. It was
Matched.
it was they were all very close to each other in skill, which, in its own, which is
100%.
also really good. I mean, if you're a hardcore MMA fan, you don't mind that. Like, I don't mind sitting through 3 rounds if the 3 rounds are
Not at all.
crazy competitive, like end to end, and like I don't know who won at the end of it. There were a lot of fights where I'm sitting there like, I don't fucking know who won. And I mean, I think a perfect example of
Yeah.
that is Mackenzie Dern versus Tisha Torres, which next to Kamzat and Gilbert was
Hmm.
my favorite fight of the night. I mean, these ladies,
Oh,
these
100%. I
ladies are
agree.
incredible. I mean, you want to talk about levels? Like the
Amazing.
levels between high-end women's MMA and entry-level women's MMA are like stars in the earth. Like they are so far apart, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Mackenzie and Tisha just some of the most crazy ground exchanges, crazy jujitsu I have ever seen. Like I want to rewatch that fight a million times. It's even especially as I try to
100%.
learn how to do BJJ myself. Like like that's something you show to people who are trying to learn how to do that. It was that groundwork
Mm.
was crazy. I mean, the moment where I think it was Mackenzie had Tisha, like she was standing and she had her literally like on her, but Tisha had like Mackenzie's arm twisted, and it was just these positions. I didn't understand some of these positions. I can't even describe them because they
Yeah.
they they were ridiculous.
That's the family that runs in their family. Her dad is a fucking jujitsu legend. So it makes sense that she knows these type of things that we don't know. She's just on that level, you know. So I'm looking at something here, and I'm very, very confused. Split decision. Mackenzie Dern wins the fight,
Yes.
correct? But I'm looking at the stats here. Tisha Torres had numbers on all. She has higher numbers on everything. Total strikes 78 to 58. Significant strikes 76 to 50. And then control time 2 minutes 54 seconds to 2:24. And she still loses the fight. Now, Mackenzie Dern had 3 submission attempts. 0 were made. She got out of all of them. I think you have to give points on that too. She got out of the submissions. So on paper, Tisha Torres won that fight. That's why I'm like, why did they give it to Mackenzie? Even on
Well,
paper, she won the
one of the
fight.
judges
So
did.
what do
One
you
of the
think about
judges did
that?
give it to her. It was a split decision. It was a very again, it was one of those fights. It was very close. I mean, I think I have to again. It's
Oh
another
yeah.
fight that I have to sit down and rewatch, and I feel bad for not preparing it for tonight as well as I
She,
should have. But like
yeah.
at the end of the fight, I felt like Mackenzie had won. So I need to sit down and rewatch it to remember exactly why. Uh, but I felt
Mhm.
like Mackenzie was dominant in a lot of those exchanges, even if uh, it wasn't, particularly like ground control time, because in clinch situations, they don't measure that, you know, they don't,
Yeah. But I'm on paper, she outstruck her by 20. A total significant strikes, 26 more significant strikes. So I honestly, I think Tisha Torres should have won that fight. I don't know why they even gave it to Mackenzie Dern, because on paper she outstruck her by not 1 or 2 strikes, like 20 something more strikes. And if the ground game was as even as it's saying here, the control time was pretty much the same. It's only 30 seconds difference. Then on paper, she for sure won the fight. So now I'm
now I
more
gotta.
confused than ever. Because when I was there, it seemed like Mackenzie won. But now I'm looking at paper, I'm like, clear if this is a sport and it should be off of numbers, right? Like shots, and like if you were talking about score here,
And no one
should have won the
understands.
fight.
No one understands
That's
what these
just my
fucking
opinion.
judges do. And the rules change like all the time, and it's like
Yeah.
we're not we don't have those jobs. We
Mhm.
don't understand those jobs. But all I know is it was an incredible fight, a very close fight. Both of these ladies should be proud of their
Oh yeah.
performances, and they're both going to continue to do amazing things in that division. Really, the only
Sure.
like heavily competitive women's division, and it's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, they weren't the only amazing female fighters there that night. You also had Aspen Ladd versus Raquel Pennington, and yeah,
Wow, what
and
a
I just
fight. What a
and
fight.
I
What
wasn't
a
giving
fight.
proper respect to Raquel when we were doing our live pre-show review. I mean, like there's a reason she's on this 3-fight win streak, and she's doing very well. She's definitely moved up a
Oh
level,
yeah.
and she dominated almost that entire fight. Like
She did.
Aspen had no
Dominated, I
answers
agree.
for her, and Raquel Pennington, I think won every round. So and it's,
I agree. I mean, it was a crazy fight. It was a crazy ass fight,
I
honestly.
can't believe I
I
didn't
love
know
that
until
one.
you told me yesterday that Tisha Torres is married to Raquel Pennington. I had no idea that. That's
Yeah,
so funny.
yeah,
That makes a lot. That's cool.
yeah.
They got to fight on the same car. They got to support each other, and
They asked for it. Yeah, they asked for it. I'm sure they asked
yeah, I
for it.
mean, just a whole night of incredible fights, incredible experience, guys. If you ever get the chance to go to a UFC event, fucking go. It's not as expensive as you'd think it is. Like, I think the tickets were like
Hmm.
275 each or whatever. It's not cheap, but it's not like you know it's I thought it would always be like a
Hmm.
thousand, $2,000 just based off like what I always think of like these high end MMA events.
Well, if you go on the floor, it's like 10K, but that's a different
Yeah,
level.
but Dana,
Just being
Next
there is
time you
worth it.
do a UFC event in Florida, make it Miami. Like that Jacksonville crowd did not do our
Yeah, I
sport
don't
justice. Those
know
people
why.
were fucking bananas, and like everyone on social media was trashing the crowd. Like the big losers of UFC 273 were Floridians. Was the crowd because
Was half the crowd. I think the other half was quiet and understanding. I think the other
yeah,
one half
and
was
the
crazy, as
crazy
you're
people
saying.
all
I
happen to be in our
think it
section
was
of
half
this.
the crowd. Yeah, which is crazy because you would think the crazy people don't have as much money, right? But clearly, they paid 275. The guy
Yeah,
behind
it's
us
at
paid three
350,
something
I
for the
think.
ticket. So,
I think we got it cheaper
uh,
because we got the pre-sale.
yeah, like
That's why it was cheaper.
yeah, that's the whole idea.
Yeah, if
It's the
you
idea of the
guys, I
pre-sale.
didn't
Yeah.
even know this until this card. If you have UFC Fight Pass, you can get the pre-sale for UFC events, which is fucking awesome.
For cheaper,
Yeah,
clearly for a lot cheaper, $100 cheaper,
yeah, I
$75
mean, and
cheaper.
that's
So
basically what
it's
my
definitely worth.
membership for Fight Pass costs per year. So I already made that money back technically.
Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah,
think about it
man.
like that. Yeah.
And I mean, the whole card
Sure.
was very good. There weren't a lot of finishes. I think there was like three finishes. There was Zombie. There was a vote for Zombie.
Hmm.
There was Mike Malott in his debut. He crazy finish.
Comes out fucking hot.
Yeah, I
Come
mean
out
that
hot.
was really the only big like
Okay.
video clip finish that was like. And it's funny. We were talking
100%.
when we were sitting in the crowd. We were talking about what would our ideal walkout song be if we were fighters. And I said "Fat Lip" by Sum 41. And you went out to the bathroom when Malott came out, which I think is like 10 minutes later. He came out to that song, and I'm like, no way, that's fucking
Crazy.
hilarious. It's a fun song that like pump you up, gets you in a
Yeah.
fun mood to go have a scrap, and he did a sensational knockout. And then Alexei Olenek,
Yeah.
that was the other finish. He got a submission win, which at his size, at his age, in his division, like
Holy shit.
getting
Holy
getting a
shit, man. This
guillotine
guy
choke.
is still doing it.
Yeah, I
He's
mean, good
still
for
doing
him.
it. Still 49. What the
44,
fuck is this guy,
40,
bro? This guy's 55.
44.
What's going on? Yeah, whatever, bro. He
Yeah,
looks 80.
in
You know what I
sports
mean?
years,
Like,
that's
what the
like
fuck's going
70.
on here? In Russian years, apparently that's like 20. So I don't know what the fuck's going on anymore. I'm
Yeah,
more
good for
confused than
him. I
ever.
mean, sorry, that was
Yeah, all right, knocking it. I'm just saying, I'm just confused
yeah,
at this
that
point.
was so much. That
How
was
they
such an
beat these guys.
experience. Anything else you want to talk about for this card?
That's pretty much it, honestly. Yeah, Olenek, fucking Aspen Ladd, Mike Mayla, Ian Gary. Let's talk a little about Ian Gary. Still
Ah,
undefeated. Still undefeated.
still
Luck of the
facing
Irish,
adversity.
still undefeated. Still facing adversity. But I think this is very good for him. I think he learns a lot from these fights. I don't want him to knock out guys in the first round. I'm not like the other people that are on the hype train, like Hamzat, that just wanted to knock him out. I'd rather them take a lot more experience in the octagon, see how far they can go, like Gilbert, like Hamza, like Ian Gary. These are the type of fights I want to see these guys go through to test them. You know, these guys are newer guys. Hamza, Ian, they're newer guys. They just had 1 or 2 fights, 3 fights, 4 fights in the UFC. Let them go through the fucking ringer, okay? I don't want shit to happen like what they did to Darren Till, where they jumped him up and he gets knocked the fuck out, and now he's back down at whatever, number 9 or whatever. He could have been a slowly, steady raise to get to the top. Don't fucking shoot these guys up, man. Most of them are not ready. Not everybody is Hamzat Borz Chimaev. I'm sorry. Not everybody can
or
feel.
Tom Aspinall.
Or Tom Aspinall. Exactly. These guys are special guys. Most of the guys need to do what Ian Gary is doing. Slowly, bring them up, fight them slowly, and like Sean O'Malley as well. They're being smarter about it nowadays. They learned with Darren Till that they can't be doing those type of things, because that's what happens. You can fuck a guy up like that. So I like what the UFC is doing with the newer guys. They're finally understanding how to do it a little bit better, smarter. Also, with this one, he gets better at MMA. He gets better with the actual sport. And 2, you have a slow, steady rise with good wins for the guy. A lot more time, a lot more footage for them. So promotion aspect as well. It's good for the UFC. It's an all-around better idea to put them up slowly. Don't be throwing them in the fucking cage with these monsters and they can't handle it, you know? So I like how they're doing Ian Gary. I like how they didn't give him a top 20 guy right away or something like that. So I'm happy with how the UFC is bringing up the newer guys.
Yeah, and I think that Ian, unlike a lot of the rising prospects, I think Ian Gary is actually pretty cautious, pretty humble, pretty reserved, because with the way that fight went in the first round, he was being very cautious. He wasn't trying to throw a lot. His volume was very low, and that's why he lost that first round, because he just seemed like he was just trying to find his footing. And then the second and third round, he came out, he took more risks, he increased his output. It worked for him because he is very talented. He just needs, obviously, it's good to be cautious to an extent, but when you're at this level, you might as well just go out and throw. Just go out, you don't, I mean, once he got more comfortable and he just started increasing his output, I mean, he was dominating the fight, and that's why he ended up winning it and the decision.
So yeah, I want to just say one thing to what you said. The first round for most guys in the UFC, like at that top level, the highest level, they're taking down data. Like the smarter guys, the smarter fighters, they're not trying to go for a finish in the first round. They have 3 rounds. They have time to do this shit, right? So they download data. First round, download data. See what happens. Throw a feint. Throw a feint. See what he reacts. Throw another feint. See what he reacts. Throw another one. And they're downloading data, downloading data, downloading data. When they get to the second round, they know what they can throw off of him, right? It's like a machine. It has to download the data, understand what the fuck's happening, then it can start running. Same idea here. So smarter guys, that's what they do. That's how you get better at a fight. They don't care about losing the first round if they can download good enough data.
Unless you get your ass knocked out in the first round.
Well, they're usually good enough to where they can do defense, and they're fighting off of instinct at that point. But their coach tells them, listen, first round is to download data, work on your defense, and if you can get a good shot, great, take it. But don't be looking for the finish. It's a very different mindset. It's go in there. We're going to read him. I'm going to tell you what I saw. You're going to tell me what you saw in between rounds. We have a minute to do so. And then we go second round, we go hard. I'll tell you what to do. You know what I mean? It's a lot smarter way to fight. It's more tactical. It's more sport-like rather than dogging him, knocking the fuck out. Like, no, they're not. That's not what's going on here. They're smarter fighters. They're evolving. That's the evolution of MMA. Because before it's, bro, you got to finish this guy as soon as you can. Take every advantage. Take everything. Well, no, nowadays it's take our time. We'll beat him in points. It's fine. We don't care. You know, as long as we win. So it's a different approach. Newer, more evolutionized MMA, for sure.
He's very good. I definitely can't wait to see him again. And of course, his walkout song is one of my all-time favorite songs, which is "Are You Mine" by the Arctic Monkeys. So when Ian Gary comes out, I get pumped. We were losing. That was when I was losing it the most.
I was losing my mind.
Yeah. Oh, that was so much
I was
fun.
singing and everything. I was singing that shit like crazy. That might be my walkout song. Who the fuck knows? I like that. That shit hypes me up, man. That shit hypes me the fuck up, honestly.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Let's talk about this coming week. You know, we got, of course,
Yeah,
another
yeah.
UFC event in back in Vegas for another fight night. Vicente Luque versus Bilal Muhammad. I've been waiting for this fight for a very long time. I'm very excited. This is
Oh
probably
yeah.
this just like Khamzat versus Gilbert. This is one of the most consequential fights in the welterweight division right now because I
Oh,
believe that one of these two people is going to either fight Kamzat or going to fight for a title within the next 6 months. One of those two things. So whoever wins this fight, it's very important for this division. And I know you think, and a lot of Twitter thinks that Kamzat is going to fight Colby Covington next, but I personally think that
that's what
well,
Dana said. That's what Dana said before the fight.
yeah,
So you have to put that in
Dana
perspective.
Dana says a lot of things, but I think that Colby is going to turn it down
Yeah,
because of how
point there too.
calculating he is, and he doesn't want to. If I was Colby, I would not take that fight because you can make a shot back for the title without fighting Khamzat, unless of course Khamzat beats Usman, in which case then you have to do that either way. But I personally think that the winner of this fight coming this weekend, Bilal Muhammad versus Vicente Luque, the winner of that fight is going to fight Kamzat in a title eliminator bout. And that would
Hmm.
be something. And I've been calling Luque the dark horse of this division for a very long time, and I hope he gets the win just because I really would love to see him versus Kamzat. Although to be perfectly fair, I don't know what Luque is gonna do that Gilbert Burns couldn't do. I mean, Luque is probably at the level or maybe a little bit better on the ground than Gilbert, but in terms of striking
Yeah.
power, he is nowhere close. So I don't unless he wants to make this a pure grappling affair. I don't even know what he or Bilal would do
Oh,
against
he will.
Kamzat.
Oh, against Hamza.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I was saying in the actual fight.
yeah,
I think it's going to be a ground fight. I think Bilal's going to try to take him down and deal with him there. I don't think he's going to want to strike with Luque, honestly. I think Bilal has a better chance of wrestling him and just putting the pressure and just ground and pound like he usually does. Like we did with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Same idea, just fucking eat him alive on the ground and that's it. I mean, that's what I think is going to happen. That's what Bilal does best. That's how he's been winning. It's by mauling people in a sense. So that's what I think Bilal might have to do in order to get the win off Vicente Luque. Because if not, Vicente Luque is going to shoot. And you don't want that. You don't want any of that shit. Because if Luque shoots at you and gets you in some sort of shit and is on top of you, he's going to pull a sub real quick. He's going to go for that submission real quick. So Bilal would rather be on the takedown side than being taken down by Vicente
yeah.
Luque.
But then there's the risk that
I mean,
Luque. I feel like Luque is very good at reversing the positions and then getting a finish. That's what he did against Michael Chiesa. He
yeah.
reversing the position.
So you think he's going to try to stay on the he's going to stay on the feet with him?
I think I don't know. It's because both of these guys, their ace in the hole is their groundwork. So it's hard to say. I think maybe Luque is the better striker, but it's close. It's a good fight because it's a close fight. Um,
Yeah, of course.
but I'm not sure who has the advantage standing up on the ground. I think Luque has the advantage because, like I said last week, I think that BJJ beats wrestling every time.
Mm.
I think I
Yeah, because he's gonna go for submission. He's gonna try to finish the fight. The wrestler is just gonna ground and pound until he gets tired, in a
yeah.
sense, you know. So at least there's a finish there. And TKO is not always I mean, like a ground and pound TKO is not always a finish. I mean, you can move out of it. You're giving openings when you're throwing those strikes. You know, your legs are there. You can grab a leg. You know, like there's things to
There's more
do
time to
when a guy's
survive.
ground and pounding on you. Yeah, exactly. When a guy's going for a submission, you're like, fuck. If I don't defend the submission right now, it's going to be over.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know what I mean? So
if someone
especially with
has
the
their arm around your neck, you have about 3 or 4 seconds to get out of there. Whereas
yeah,
if someone
to
is like
figure it out,
someone's
if
in a
not,
ground
it's
and
over,
pound
buddy.
position, you could have up to 10 seconds. So that 6 seconds in MMA matters tremendously. So
100%.
I personally think that because of his superior jiu-jitsu, because I think jiu-jitsu is superior to wrestling, I think that Luque wins that fight. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for Luque. Here he is in a 4-fight win streak. His last win was a submission. He's looking at finishes. He's a lot more of a finisher than Bilal is. Bilal's gonna want to drown you out and go 5 rounds. I mean, that would be the only thing that Luque would have to worry about. I don't think that he's prepared to go 5 rounds. I don't think he has a tip of cardio. He usually doesn't fight a 5-round fight. Bilal has been fighting 5-round fights in the past 2 or 3 fights. His last fights were both 5 rounds, so he's a lot more used to it. It's what he's been doing. Sante Luque, not so much. Been in 3-round fights pretty much his whole career. Never been in a 5-round fight, so that would be the advantage for Bilal. Cardio. We all know Bilal has amazing cardio, so that's definitely the weak point when it comes to Vicente Luque. But I'm still going to go with Luque because I think he's going to go for submission when he's on the ground. And I don't think Bilal has enough to stop his submissions. I mean, his ground game is too good. His jiu-jitsu is too good.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
I think Luque gets in and gets a submission in the
Yeah,
within the first 3 rounds. I don't see this fight going the distance. I mean, if it goes into later rounds, that's to Bilal's advantage. If this fight makes it to the fourth
yeah,
round, that's to Bilal's
100%.
advantage. I think that next to, I may be wrong, but I think next to Colby and Kamaru, Bilal has the best cardio in the division. I think.
Yeah, for sure. And now I want to talk about what happens if who wins and who loses. So if Vicente Luque wins. I think he either fights if Colby doesn't accept the Hamza fight, which I think he will, but let's say in a world where he doesn't, it's going to be Vicente Luque Vicente Luque Colby. That would be his next fight. Now, if Bilal wins, I think the same thing happens. I think the winner, if Colby does take the fight with Hamzat, then Bilal is going to fight the winner of that, and then there'll be the winner of that will fight for the title. Unless Colby doesn't take the fight, then Bilal Colby.
Yeah,
That's what I think. What do you think?
You think if Luque wins, he'll fight Colby and not Khamzat?
Yeah, because I think it's like you said, I think it's a worse fight for Colby to take Hamzat than Luque. He has one of the lesser evils, you know.
True.
He's gonna have to be stuck on a plate. He's gonna be like, "Fuck, what do I do? I'll take Luque instead."
And I guess that means you could give Khamzat just a title shot. I mean, I think that he's at this point ready for a title shot. So I think you could just give him, and no one's gonna complain. No one's really gonna complain about it. So I think that
again, this is going against what I said because I do think that Colby is gonna fight Hamzat. I think he takes the fight, and I think that's what we see next.
We'll see.
That's what I think.
We have very different.
So I'm going against my own shit.
We have very.
I'm going against my own shit.
We have very different views of the way Colby Covington does business. So I think I
don't think he has a choice at this point. As the #1 guy, you have to just fight whoever they give you at that point. You can't pick and choose.
All I know is, like I've said, if Colby ends up fighting Bilal Muhammad, or if he ends up fighting Khamzat, $20 that he calls them a terrorist in the press conference.
Oh my god, maybe. Fucking maybe. I mean, who knows?
I mean, that's what Colby's gonna do. I mean, because that's really the only angle. But it's so funny. I don't think that one of the reasons why I don't think that Colby would fight Khamzat is because the mental game that Colby likes to put on his opponents is not going to work on Khamzat because he's going to be like, yo, this guy's a fucking terrorist. Like, this guy comes from a...
or whatever.
Whatever. And he's going to be like, brother, I do not care. Like, I don't care. Like, you're nothing. I smash you. You talk, little man. I do not give a fuck. Like, I smash you. I kill you.
I do want to say one thing, though, about Hamza. I don't know if you saw the press conference. Usually you don't watch them. I know you don't like it too much. But in the press conference, Gilbert did piss off Hamza. He did piss off. He got in his head.
Doing what?
So he said something like he was like making fun of how he speaks.
Oh,
he was you know how like he kind of mumbles. Like he kind of mumbles. He's like shut up, bro. Shut up. Really, bro. Shut up. Like that's what Gilbert said. And he's like, Smush is gonna shut up, you know, like something like that. And he's like, oh fuck, and like hits the table, like he got pissed, you know what I mean? So I think Colby will get in his head, and Hamzat is a fucking energizer bunny. Okay, this guy will blow up any second. Okay, so in the sense of he will fight Colby at the press conference. He doesn't give a fuck. Like he doesn't care. Like I honestly think that if he pisses off Hamzat enough, he'll get up and try to fight him, and that's where Colby wins in his fucking head.
Yeah, but
so
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Skill wise, I do think that Colby wins, honestly, because one, cardio, two, if Kamaru Usman couldn't finish Colby Covington, I don't think Hamzat will finish Colby Covington. Why? Now I'm gonna do MMA math for you real quick. Gilbert Burns got knocked out by Usman, right? Got knocked out. Look what Hamzat had to do to Gilbert. Didn't knock him out. So if you want to do MMA math, Usman's still gonna knock out Hamzat.
Well,
if you want to do it off of that,
well, as we both
now,
know,
if you want to talk about Colby,
as we both know, MMA math is nothing close to a science.
I know, that's why I'm just saying it's MMA math. I'm putting a precursor on this because I know it doesn't mean shit. But at the end of the day, if you want to do it like that, for what we've seen against these guys and what's going on, Gilbert got knocked the fuck out. So if Hamza couldn't do it, you think that Usman's gonna get knocked out? I mean, you see what I'm saying there?
I don't know.
So,
I don't know how a fight with Khamzat versus Usman would go. I am 95% sure that Khamzat knocks the fuck out of Colby or submits him within the first 2 rounds. I don't think that. Colby did get knocked out by Usman the first time. I'm telling you, like Khamzat is gonna go in.
Fourth round, and he was like grabbing onto his leg, and he was just ground and pounding him until he stopped. But he was in the fight. He wasn't knocked out whatsoever. He got up and protested. He's like, "What the fuck?" Right after, he's like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" So he didn't knock him out like he did to Gilbert. Gilbert got knocked the fuck out. Gilbert Burns woke up looking at stars like, "Oh shit, what the fuck's going on?" That's not what happened to Colby.
From what I've
not
seen,
even close.
From what I've seen, this is my opinion. Khamzat destroys Colby Covington physically and mentally, which is why Colby would be stupid as shit to take this fight, and instead Colby should try to fight either Gilbert Burns, Luque, or Bilal Muhammad. I think he should avoid Khamzat at all costs. I mean, well, actually, I think he should fight him because I don't like Colby, so I'd love to see him get ragdolled. So, but I think that being as smart and calculating as he is, because Colby is one of the smartest fighters in the game, I have to give him that. He will avoid that fight like the plague. And we can disagree on this. It is what it is. But, we'll see. I'm very excited. I'm very excited for this weekend because this is going to be, just like this past week, is going to be a very important fight for this very electrifying division. World Heavyweight division is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited for this. The rest of the card for this weekend is mostly like up and comers. Like this is one of those cards where it's either going to be pretty boring until the main event, or it's going to be a bunch of like this is going to be a sleeper card.
Holy shit. Yeah, exactly. Where you're like, what the hell's going on? Exactly.
So,
I agree.
Definitely watch it. I watch every week no matter what, and we're going to talk about it no matter what on next Monday. But the main event is something you there is one exciting guy on the card though. My guy, Chris Barnett. Remember this guy? Remember Chris Barnett is on this card. He's fighting Martin Boudet. All right. I'm excited.
I want to see him.
I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
Let's get another crazy. I love the way he moves. He weighs like 500 pounds, and he does like spitting shit. It's phenomenal.
Backflips, everything. And he's the shortest guy in the division by far. You want to know how tall this guy is? Take a guess. Don't look. Take a guess.
How Chris Barnett, I think they said he was 5'7".
How tall do you think he is? No, that's crazy. Relax, bro. He's 265 pounds. He's 5'9". He's my height. And he weighs 265 pounds. That's fucking insane.
He looks like it.
He weighs,
Yeah,
but think about the layout. He's 5'9", 265 pounds.
He looks the way he looks.
That's
why it's crazy when we see him do spinning shit.
That's fucking crazy shit. He's definitely the shortest 100%. Guy in the heavyweight division. There's no one under 6 foot in the heavyweight division.
But I'm definitely down to see him fight again.
He's the size of a fucking lightweight. the size of a lightweight or even a featherweight.
Yeah, but I'm excited.
Fucking
I'll
insane.
definitely watch that. Excited for that. Anyways, guys, that's all we have for you this
So,
week. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to check out our socials at C_I_MMA, Instagram and Twitter. I live tweet all of the fights. I even did it in the stadium this weekend when the internet was shit because I was 15,000 people around me. I still managed to get some banger tweets in there, so definitely follow us there. And of course, you can also follow us on Odyssey in case YouTube ever fucks with our stream or fucks with our episodes. You can go and always see them over there because Odyssey loves their creators. So, anyways, guys, y'all have a great one. We will see you next week.
thanks for tuning in. Peace.